Volleyball Day in Nebraska. How awesome is that? What other athletic department in the country, late February, is doing a press conference to announce an outdoor volleyball game in August? That's how big volleyball is in the state of Nebraska. Pretty awesome. So thank you all for being here. Just a few thank yous first before we get started. And we have several folks that are going to have a chance to say a few words, and so I want to make sure they have time. First, I want to thank the administration and the coaches from UNK and Wayne State and Omaha that are here. Appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate the partnership. Appreciate you buying into this crazy idea of celebrating volleyball in the state of Nebraska. This is going to be an awful lot of fun. You all are going to have an opportunity when we're done here at the podium to sit down with the administrators and coaches from the other schools. I want to thank Coach Cook. You know, John's a crazy guy now that he's a cowboy, and he's got some crazy ideas. But this was one that, let's be honest, he was a little bit hesitant on. But I want to thank you, John, for taking the risk. I know this is a different thought process, but what I love about John is he dreams big, has great aspirations and goals, and so this is an extension of John Cook's dreaming big. I want to thank our administration here for their dedication and hard work. You know, this isn't something we do every day, as you can imagine, seeing some of the pictures here and some of the work. So I want to thank our team that's going to work really hard to put this on in a great way. I want to thank Chancellor Green and President Carter, Governor Pillen. I want to thank you guys for being here as well. And of course, they'll say a few words to you. So I want to just tell you a little bit about the vision and purpose. Obviously, we all just got done celebrating 50 years of Title IX. And many of the athletic departments across the country, including those that are here with us here today, spent a lot of time focusing on women's athletics and the impact of Title IX on our athletic department. And I thought, what better way to celebrate Title IX than to celebrate volleyball in the state of Nebraska? Title IX has created a monster, the North Star of volleyball in the state of Nebraska. And what a great way to celebrate it by bringing everybody together. We've always believed that athletics at the University of Nebraska can be used to bring people together. So we're really proud to have schools from all across our state come to Memorial Stadium to celebrate the progress of Title IX in a women's sport like volleyball. And I do need to acknowledge that we hope that one of the outcomes of celebrating our volleyball programs in the state of Nebraska is that we, for once and for all, establish the all-time attendance record for volleyball nationally. Okay? As I said many months ago, the attendance record for volleyball belongs in the state of Nebraska. So I'm going to be the first person to say it. You'll probably hear from some others. But I'm going to implore Husker Nation, and I'm going to implore volleyball fans across the state of Nebraska to come to Memorial Stadium. We're going to do this once, and I want to hope that the number is large enough that nobody dares even try to attack our all-time record. As you can see, the way we're tentatively planning to set the court up there on the north side of the stadium, my hope and goal is that we got to keep moving that court a little bit to the south end zone, because we have such interest in supporting volleyball in the state of Nebraska. So that's the outcome. Just a couple of the details that I think are important. Many of you have this. UNK and Wayne State will be first at 4:30, Omaha and Nebraska at 7 o'clock. We know that game will be on the Big Ten Network. There's some hope that we can have some expanded coverage from the Big Ten Network to cover even more than just the Omaha and Nebraska game. One of the things that we really want to do is we want to celebrate everybody across our state that's had a big impact in volleyball. And so we're looking for all these schools and all of you to help us identify men and women and those all across our states, club volleyball, high school, that have worked so hard to make volleyball special in the state of Nebraska. Finally, I just want to tell you a little bit about financially. I want to be very transparent here. This is not an effort from the University of Nebraska to put on a big event and keep all the revenue. We've made a commitment to the participating schools that we're going to share revenue, and each participating school is going to receive $50,000 as a result of participating in this event, and we thought that was very important as well. Obviously, you're probably going to ask about contingency plans. It does rain sometimes outside. And so if that happens, we'll just be moving over to Devaney Center and do the best that we can. But we're still going to be able to really lift up women's athletics and volleyball in the state of Nebraska. So that's the extent of what I had to share with you, and it's really my privilege now to introduce a guy that happens to think a lot of volleyball himself, probably one of the bigger volleyball fans I know, Chancellor Ronnie Green.
Well, thank you, Trev. It's a pleasure to be here today. It's kind of a momentous day in a lot of ways. We all know and understand and appreciate that the epicenter of collegiate volleyball is Nebraska, and that's been a thing that has been built over decades. I know, John, you credit Terry Pettit, your predecessor, a good friend of Jane and I's, Coach Pettit, for helping build Nebraska volleyball and volleyball and the state to the level, and John has only taken that to the very next level over recent time. You all recognize or know that 2023 is the 100th anniversary year of Memorial Stadium. Memorial Stadium was built in 1923 in honor of World War I and veterans of World War I. We had an epic event a year ago. You'll remember the concert with Garth Brooks that was a new use of the stadium. Now we're announcing this big opportunity at the end of August to have the first volleyball game, first collegiate volleyball set of games in Memorial Stadium on that 100th anniversary year. My only problem is, Trev mentioned this, I've announced my retirement, as many of you know, this summer, and I won't be here for this game, which got me in big trouble with a particular person called Jane Green, who is a tremendous volleyball fan and attached to this program really emotionally and seriously. So, John, we're going to miss it, but we're going to be streaming you where we are to be able to be here and be part of it. And I'm predicting that Coach Cook is probably going to be given the opportunity in Memorial Stadium to maybe show us some of his roping skills and his abilities with the rope. So, John, it's on you to show us that when you're at the game as well. It's now my pleasure to introduce the University of Nebraska System President, Ted Carter. As you know, we're involving multiple institutions across the state of Nebraska. Please join me in welcoming Ted Carter.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I couldn't be more excited and more proud to be part of this announcement that we are going to make history here in the state of Nebraska and continue on with proving to not only Nebraska itself, but to the country that we have the best fans and that we are a volleyball state. This is going to be Volleyball Day in the state of Nebraska, and how exciting is that? And for me, as a university system president, to have all of our sports programs involved in this event, from the Lopers of UNK to the Mavericks of UNO, and of course the Huskers of UNL, and we're welcoming Wayne State, the Wildcats, to this great event. Couldn't be more proud of what's about to happen. And how cool is it on a day that started off at 2 degrees that we're thinking about August 30th, where the average temperature is going to be 85 degrees, and we're going to have a great event. Now, I've already come to know, as I'm in my 4th year as your university system president, how great Nebraska fans are. And this is a chance for us to take it to the next level. And this is history. And I have a little experience with some outdoor sporting events. The very first outdoor basketball game, as some of you may remember, was played on an aircraft carrier. It happened to be the USS Carl Vinson, the very ship that I commanded. Now, I had just turned it over 2 years prior, but I watched that experiment play out in full in San Diego. The President of the United States, Barack Obama, was there as Michigan State took on North Carolina. And we even continued with those events just recently this year. When I was superintendent of the U.S. Naval Academy, the NHL, using their Stadium Outdoor Series, gave us the permission to host an outdoor hockey game at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. It was in March. March in Annapolis can be 70 degrees, and we pulled it off. Not only did we pull it off, we sold out the stadium, 40,000 seats at a cost of tickets that were well over 10 times the cost of tickets that we're talking here. And as some of you may remember that sports history, the Washington Capitals went on and won the Stanley Cup that year. Not making any points here. I'm just saying outdoor series can have long-range implications. And as Trev mentioned, none of us should miss the fact that We're doing this in the wake of the 50-year anniversary of Title IX. All these sporting events that I've mentioned, the great success of these sports programs, hockey and basketball, these are men's, college, and professional events. This will be the first event of its magnitude to celebrate women's sports. And we have a great history of that here in Nebraska. So I'm excited about what that means to each and every one of us. Now, Trev mentioned, the attendance record. Now, I'm sorry, Trev, I'm just not going to be happy with 20,000 or 30,000. I want to challenge all Nebraskans. We have sold out this stadium for every sporting event we have put in that stadium since 1962. Let's pack the stadium. Let's sell this thing out and show the world how great we as Nebraskans are as sports fans. So I'm excited about August 30th. Go Big Red, go Lopers, go Mavericks, go Wildcats. I can't wait for this event. So now it's my privilege to introduce Governor Jim Pillen. Jim Pillen is greatly responsible for me even standing here because he led the search to bring me here. We rode around in a car together while we toured the state of Nebraska in November 2019. We talked about sports. I know what a big sports fan he is, and his history obviously as a Husker and his love for volleyball. So I know he's going to have a couple of great words. Ladies and gentlemen, the 41st Governor of the great state of Nebraska, the Honorable Jim Pillen.
Well, good afternoon. Just awesome. When I heard about what was going on, the first thing that came to my mind was, this is Nebraska. Innovation across the state, incredible innovation for another thought for Memorial Stadium. Really cool. Never a bad day to be on the west side of the Memorial Stadium. I think anytime any of us that got to play, we think about the training, what we went through on the stadium, and the grind and the grit and what we became. I had to share this. Unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember the first game that was sold out. My mother came out and said, Nebraska's playing Missouri. It was 1962. You need to come in. It's on ABC. You need to watch it on TV. So that's been going on a long time. So President Carter, that's an awesome challenge. Nebraskans will fill it up. I think the other thing that's really cool about this, when I think about Nebraska athletics, it's about the gift of dreams and the gift of belief. And so it's really cool. When my vintage was kids, because of Coach Devaney and Coach Osborne, every boy growing up in Nebraska had dreams to play football. I was lucky. I had a dream to play football, a dream to be a veterinarian, and I'll talk about horses in a little bit. But now, because of Coach Pettit and Coach Cook, every little girl dreams about being a volleyball player, and the proof's in the pudding with extraordinary volleyball commitments we have across the state. And every little tall girl, I don't know if you're down to looking at kids that are kindergarten, but I got a granddaughter that's a head taller than anybody else that maybe could be there someday, Coach. But so the hopes and dreams, and that's what's so awesome about athletics at Nebraska, is it gives us the dreams, but it gives us the belief as Nebraskans we're winners in anything that we put our grit and determination to do. So I have a couple things. We're going to have some fun here. So one is a proclamation. So a privilege as your governor, and by the way, it's an extraordinary, hard for me to comprehend, but an extraordinary privilege to be the 41st governor of Nebraska. I feel like I'm playing in front of 76,000. It's game day every day. It's extraordinary. So I have a proclamation. Bear with me because there's so many important statistics that I have to read this all. Can't go to the bottom line like I do a lot of them. This one has to go through. So the proclamation, whereas Husker volleyball program has a 303 match regular season sellout streak that dates back to 2001, obviously an NCAA women's record. Whereas Nebraska has led the nation in volleyball attendance every year since moving to the 8,000-seat Bob Devaney Sports Center, which I heard a rumor that one guy wasn't really crazy about that at one time. Whereas 8 of the 9 largest crowds in NCAA volleyball history matches involve the Huskers. This is amazing, whereas the Nebraska Volley program has won 5 NCAA championships and 34 conference championships and leads the nation in a number of All-Americans, all-time wins, weeks ranked in the AVCA poll, weeks ranked in the top 10, and weeks ranked at number 1. And whereas the UNO Mavericks have won 20 matches in back-to-back seasons for the first time since transitioning to NCAA Division I, and have a 30-6 record in the Summit League the last 2 years. Whereas the UNK Lopers are among the winningest programs in NCAA Division II and has made 23 straight NCAA tournaments with 2 NCAA runner-up finishes. And whereas the Wayne State College is coming off a 30-win season and a top 5 Division II final ranking in the program's first ever outright NSIC regular season title. And whereas volleyball has had a positive impact on the state of Nebraska and has been a transformational force in women's sports, inspiring countless girls and citizens all across the state, an impact that Nebraskans will celebrate with the first ever volleyball match at Memorial Stadium August 30th. Now, therefore, I, Jim Pillen, the Governor of Nebraska, do by here proclaim the 30th day of August 2023 as Nebraska Volleyball Day. It's an incredible privilege to sign that, and congratulations to Coach Cook, to Trev, Chancellor Green, President Carter. It's extraordinary. Thank you. And then a couple other things. So I thought that Admiral Carter could have another colleague on the staff. So Coach Cook, I think that the other thing that the governor has a privilege of is being able to designate a new admiral of the Navy of Nebraska. So Coach Cook, if you would come up. This is to greetings to all who are here. Know ye that reposing the special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of John Cook, and knowing you to be a good person and a loyal friend and consular, I have nominated and do appoint you as Admiral of the great Navy of the state of Nebraska. Congratulations. So Admiral Carter, can you please come up and congratulate?
Don't think this means he outranks me.
And then I have one last thing. So I will tell you, Coach Cook, I was looking around and I have never had the chance to meet the governor of Nebraska Volleyball, the greatest player ever, Jordan Larson. Yeah. Cool story. Jordan was traveling in Thailand, and wherever you go in Nebraska, right, you run into Nebraska fans, no matter where in the world. And she runs into a person, said, hey, had Nebraska gear on, said, I know your dad. And then a friend said, well, you got to be kidding me. Somebody in Thailand, and you got to be the governor of Nebraska. And so it stuck, and so she's known across as governor. So I was hoping the governor of volleyball Nebraska would be here. So someday we'll get to meet Jordan.
She'll be here in August.
Awesome, that's awesome. And maybe the last thing that I thought, we've got to have really good fun here. So everybody's known, I got to hear Coach Cook talk a couple weeks ago, and everybody knows his passion about horses. I was at one time going to be a world-famous equine practitioner because I loved working on horses. So, John, you're going to look good in that hat.
Well, thanks.
So, I thought, Trev, that I could give a suggestion, and the map is looking perfect. So, since Coach Cook has found a passion for horses and roping, It's looking on the drawing.
We're gonna come
It's
out.
looking like there could be a nice little arena here. And Coach Cook could do an exhibit on roping, an exhibition match, and for sure we'd fill up Memorial Stadium. Are you up to the
I'm
exhibition?
up for it. I train every day.
Awesome. So we'll have to get a corral, and if Huskers fans really get fired up, we'll get that arena built. They'll donate money to build. Coach Cook needs an arena so he can rope, and that'll help the equestrian club. So it's a winner all the way around.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Governor. We appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you. All right, well, I didn't know that Coach Cook was going to speak with a cowboy hat on. Members of the media, would you prefer you keep the hat on or take it off? I think you get to make the call. But we're just, again, really pleased that Governor Pillen is here and being a part of this. But I really just do want to make a special thank you to Coach Cook. You know, John's been a great leader in this department for a long time. And we haven't always had our best days as a department, but John's been the steady leader that's continued to grow the volleyball program. So John Cook has done a great job. It's my honor to get to work with John, and so please join me in welcoming Coach Cook.
Well, that was it's a hard act to follow here. Trev's right. I was a little hesitant. Governor Pillen's right. I was hesitant to go to Devaney, but these guys dream big. And, you know, one thing I saw in this, Trev's a competitor. He doesn't want to be second place to anybody. So we're going after it, and it's pretty cool. The other thing I was thinking about today was, you know, President Carter. I know Jane's always on the, you know, she talks to me all the time about volleyball, so I know their love for volleyball. I didn't know President Carter, so I actually went back and pulled up Top Gun 1 in Miramar in San Diego. He was stationed out there. He was actually playing in the volleyball scene. He was one of the guys out there playing with Tom Cruise and the other guy. So that's his connection to volleyball. And then I'm thinking, what's an equine specialist, you know, have to do with volleyball and the governor? And anyway, he just shared with us he called lines in high school in 1973 when women's volleyball first started getting going in the state. So anyway, we got some great connections here, and this is pretty surreal that this is all happening, but we are dreaming big, and I think it's going to be a really special day. And the one thing that I have to kind of, you know, I always talk about Sandy Ginrich, who used to coach at Lincoln Northeast, great coach. She was one of the first coaches I met when I got here and saw what her teams were doing. And she coached Lindsey Peterson, our director of ops, and a couple other players that went on in that 2000 team that went undefeated. She said, volleyball is a state treasure. And this is exactly what you're seeing. This is a state treasure. And it's for all the young girls in the state and all the former players and coaches and high school coaches. And everybody says, why is Nebraska volleyball so good at all levels? And we have people that work hard. We got good athletes here, and it's important, and it's a big deal. And again, this isn't happening anywhere else. So I feel very honored and privileged to be here. And Governor Pillen, thank you very much for this. And the Admiral, I don't know if I told you, President Carter, but I actually got to go on the USS Nebraska submarine. And we took down 110 stakes for those guys. It was awesome. On that submarine, there should be a volleyball on that submarine. So I've got a little Admiral experience in me. So anyway, we're excited. Our players are really excited. This is a big deal. And as we said, there's no place like Nebraska. And thanks for everybody for being here today.
Again, thank you. We're going to have a little breakout session now. Of course, we've got the other coaches and administrators that are here. We have a couple of our current student athletes on the volleyball team that are here as well. And so we'll let you break down, and we can do individual interviews if you'd like. Again, thank you all for being here.
We're going to do photos first.